So, Mr. Deal, you've said that if elected, you would do away with any vaccine mandate. So let's talk about COVID for a minute here. If there is a COVID surge during this winter season, would you reinstate masks in schools and government buildings?
No, I always felt, and again, I think we're starting to see the science prove out. And I should back up. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-mask. I just want people to be able to make their own personal choices on that. And I think we've seen from the science now that no matter how many times you were vaccinated or boosted, that did not prevent catching COVID. We heard from Fauci that evidently the masking really wasn't necessarily a great solution. If people feel comfortable with masking or getting vaccinated, that's absolutely their choice. But to me, you're stepping on their civil rights. First of all, we had a lot of workers on the front line, nurses, police, fire, who either developed natural immunity because they caught COVID and didn't want to get vaccinated after that, or they had underlying health issues that a vaccine would have exacerbated and caused them problems. So I think that, again, we can take reasonable precautions to have people stay at home if that's the necessary solution, but also mask or vaccine at your personal health care choice.
And would you be opposed to an individual school imposing a mask mandate?
I think, again, the schools should allow the students to make up, the parents and the students to make up their minds on that decision.
Thank you, Ms. Healy.
Well, I think that it's important for us to continue to follow the science, to follow the data. That's what the Baker administration has done. I think the Baker administration did that quite well, and our state was safer as a result. But this is an evolving space of information, of knowledge, so I think we need to continue to follow the science and make the best decisions possible based on that. I also, respect so much the resilience of people through COVID. When it came to those small businesses who've been absolutely devastated, hurt through this time, I know that my office set up funds to get money out the door to small businesses. We also worked to set up programs, support programs that would help landlords as well as tenants. And specifically, we set up a program that was going to help house first responders and many in the healthcare space during COVID when people needed to isolate. So it's just to say, so much harm and a lot of grief and a lot of hurt. We're still working our way through that. But I think we need to make sure that we are following information and science.
So as you understand the science now, do you understand masks to be effective?
I think that it's, again, a case of evolving science and information on this. I think that masks may be effective in some instances and less effective in others. I certainly am grateful for my opportunity to have worn a mask during COVID, as well as my opportunity to have been vaccinated. And I think we know that vaccines have been proven to be safe and effective, and I think the state has done a good job of getting out vaccines to people. So, as with anything, we're just going to have to take it in course.
That's time, Ms. Healy. Linda, with the next question.
Do you mind if I just follow up on the mask issue?
Make it real fast,
Very
please.
fast, yeah. I mean, my wife and I ran a learning pod for kids who, parents were going back to work in 2021, and they were home 3 days a week, so they came to the learning pod. They had the masks on while they were remotely in front of a computer. To me, that policy made no sense. Kids were unable to see the face of the person on the other side of the computer, right? I mean, that's taking mask policies too far. I want parents to have more of a say in their kids' masking if it ever were to be asked again.
Would you like to say something, or can we move on?
Just that I think that it is important to note about kids being in school, keeping our businesses, keeping our companies open. That's very important. And of course, I mean, masks got in the way of a lot, but I also believe that masks save lives, and maybe that's just a difference of opinion between us.
Could you ever see yourself imposing a mask mandate if there was a huge surge for schools or for government buildings?
I think it's something we have to take in turn as things happen and evaluate and be ready to take whatever steps are necessary. I know I'm not a big proponent of making judgments about things without the science, without the data, without the information. That's just who I am.